So, every year is different. No year's ever the same. Last year I think we had our first year where we were really, really young. Wasn't very experienced at all, and we're sitting here, probably had 17, 18 guys that had ever been in a college football game going into the season. So we had to grow up quick. This year we got a lot more experience coming back. Probably as much experience skill-wise as we've ever had. Up front wise, not the case. We're still a little young up front, but I think talented. So I think as those guys get game reps, we're gonna get better as the year goes on. So and that's up front offensively and defensively. But excited, like I said, about the chemistry of this team so far, and kind of how they've progressed, and that can change tomorrow. You never know. So it's a daily process, and we're excited about getting that started. Most of our coaches were up here eating a while ago. They're excited to get started and kind of see how this team can do and make a run at this thing. So I think our schedule lines up like it always does, very competitive, and we got 4 really good non-conference games, and then you get in the conference. I think I say it every year. I think the OVC, the parity in the OVC gets better every year. I think it's really, really good football played in OVC, and I think nationally, we kind of get overlooked sometimes as it goes. But I think with us and SEMO both winning games last year kind of helped, and I think if we get 2 or 3 teams in, we're going to win games in the playoffs. So I think from top to bottom, OVC is be as strong as it's ever been. I think you take the teams, top 4 teams just finish at the top. You take any of the bottom teams can beat any of those 4 on any given Saturday. I think it's proven you got to play the last play of the game in those games. So I think our non-conference is very competitive, which helps us prepare for the OVC and helps us prepare for playoffs. So we're excited about getting things going. Our guys are reporting today, and it's good to get them back in. We kind of give them a few days last week off and get in here and get rolling this week. So I told coaches yesterday, I said football season's here, and when that ball rolls, it's no stopping it. So we got to move with it and direct it the best we can. So like I said, just excited, proud of our coaches, the job they've done and continue to do. And we got more stability there, this year than we had last year. Had very, very little change this year, and that's always really, really good to keep that continuity going. So open it up for questions. I know you got a lot of questions, and open it up for that.
What did having a year as a starting quarterback do for Coop, and what do you see in his development?
Well, I think it's one of the places we were young at last year. It was a developmental year, I think, for the quarterback position. You went through so many years with Eli Deacons here, and then Bryant Horn steps in for a year and just does a really good job and a solid job that year. So you're starting over basically there, and I think we've always had really good competition in that room, which you turn out with a really good product when you got good competition, and I think that's the case right now. We got 2 guys we're very comfortable with in the game. Cooper is definitely the starter, but Zion Webb matured last year as well, and he can play. So I think both of those guys going through the season last year, getting to play as much as they did, you learn from game experience that you can't assimilate anywhere else. So they both have a better understanding of the game. Coop definitely has an NFL type arm, so he can make any throw you want to make, and just knowing the time and when the ball's got to get out, and that comes with understanding the offense and knowing how we want to attack defenses on the way they prepare and come in with their game plan. That all helps you, and you learn from that. So a lot of things that he grew last year as a player, which is going to help him this year. You're not going in with nobody's got a game rep under the belt. So both of those guys have done a fantastic job, and it's a very competitive relationship between them 2, but it's a healthy relationship. So they push each other, every day. And like I said, I'm very proud of those 2 guys and the way their leadership has grown and the things they do on a daily basis.
Coach, CJ Gilbert with WFL 48. You talk about experience and bringing a lot of guys back. As far as your receiving corps, you have 2 redshirt seniors. Just talk a little bit about how those 2 guys can just bring more effort to the offense.
Well, I think last year we really didn't have a lot of experience. It was a young group last year, so you got really all those guys back. So all those guys have a lot of game reps under their belt, and Josh Pearson and Jamar. Any other year, Jamar Hester breaks every record we got almost. And Josh just had more than what he had. So you got two really solid guys there, and the things they bring to the table skill-wise is really good, and they got two quarterbacks that can get the ball to them too. So that's big. But overall, I think our receiving core is the deepest it's been. You got those two guys, but you also got other guys that are very, very good receivers. You got a mainstay in Daniel Bird, and he just comes to work every day, and he's a program guy, and he does a good job. So you got a lot of guys like that in the lineup that I think is going to be really good, and I think our tight ends add into that as well with Trey Berry and Landon Rice and the weapons you got there. So skill-wise on offense, we got everybody back, so we're very, very excited about that. So like I said, I think we're the deepest we've been there.
Coach Gross, Purdy Armin, ESPN 97.7 Zone Radio in Huntsville. I know kids, freshmen, are coming in more advanced year in and year out, and they enroll earlier in school. I know you have a lot of experience back on offense, but where can you see your freshmen and your newcomers making the biggest impact on this year's team?
They have to be up front. You never know. You definitely, as a coach, I don't think a coach in the country team wants to count on freshmen right now, going into the season. So usually, not counting on those guys. But you don't know till you get a class in. They get a year under the belt. Who's going to make it? Who's not going to make it? Who's going to make an impact? And all those things. And we've been a redshirt a lot of guys here, and that's our philosophy, is the redshirt guys. And I say a lot of times we've got a deficiency in our program if we're having to play a freshman. And you really don't know what that group looks like together, because you collectively have not seen them to June when they get here. So you've seen them on different weekends, on meeting their families. They come in on different weekends, and then when they report, in June when they got here, you got to see that group all together. It's like, wow, this group looks really good physically on the hoof, and it's a talented bunch. So I see some guys up front possibly helping us this year and get some reps. And the rule change, I can't tell you what that's done for the game. I think it's such an advantage for freshmen to have those 4 games where you can get a guy in and you can play him a little bit and you can kind of see. And I just go through a list, of guys that you wish you'd have had that with, And so it's an advantage to have those 4 games to see if a freshman's ready. You got 4 games to play him in, and you decide if you're going to redshirt him, you will keep playing him. So, this class, that's going to be a big advantage too, just like it was last year's class, to see if those guys are ready or not. But I definitely see some of those guys helping us depth-wise and giving us some snaps.
Coach, Steve Moulton, WZZN out of Huntsville, Alabama. A lot of news about the transfer portal. I'm wondering how the transfer portal has affected you and your program into keeping kids on your roster.
Well, I think I don't know, it's mixed emotions. I think about the transfer portal, about the way it is. I think the direction we're heading is for kids to be able to transfer anytime they want to and make a one-time transfer deal. We're not there yet, but the portal definitely, I think everybody's had to kind of learn it from a coaching standpoint to a player standpoint. I don't think nobody really understood it last year and how it's going to affect the game, and I think it can be a negative if you let it be a negative. We just kind of use it as a positive. It hadn't been a problem for us. If it's helping a student athlete, I'm not going to be against it. I think that the student athletes got to really understand it. I think a lot of times you got to remember we're still dealing with kids. And I think not understanding the portal is a dangerous thing for them. You had guys that were bailing out on their teams after the first 2 games last year as a freshman. Hey, I'm not getting to play. It's not where I was promised to recruit. And we didn't have that problem. You see that at a Power 5 level, and some of these schools where the kid's not patient enough to develop as a player, and they go and they quit on a team and go in the portal. I see it being a negative in that. I don't know how many guys we want on our team that quits in the middle of the year. It's just, it can be a negative for that kid. So I think the player needs to understand the portal, and I think with another year, everybody will have a better understanding of the portal. Now it's makes it a little tougher. You can't outwork folks as much. I feel like we've been very selective in our transfer guys. We're very calculated in that. I think we've took some really good transfers. It's helped our program, and For some reason, people think we take 50% of our team as transfers. It's not. About 15 to 18% of our team is transfers, you know, and we don't make a living off that. We add value to our team, but you used to get outwork people in relationships, and you know now everybody knows about it when they go in the portal. So it makes it a little harder, which I think goes back to it's better for the student athlete. So I don't see it all being negative. I don't see it all being positive though. So I think the rule change. There's more rule changes coming with transfers, of course. And you got mixed emotions I think out there with NCAA and coaches and different things, but I think we'll finally get it right as we go.
Hey, Coach, back here, Bo Carter, WZDX 554 in Huntsville, Alabama. 2 questions for you. The first one, you talked about your competitive schedule this year. So my first question I want to ask you is, how happy are you not to be playing in week 0 like you've had to do the last 2 years? The second one will be, what's the excitement level for the team and community to get North Alabama back on the schedule in a series that'll take place over the next couple of years?
Well, to start from the first question is, I said summer went by really fast. We just started practice last week. It was playing in the week 0 thing, so we did have another week of summer, to catch up on. But yeah, that game's been a fantastic game for us. It is still a week of the summer, but well worth it. They did. Johnny Williams and that group did a fantastic job with that game. It's been very beneficial, I think, to our program and our university, playing in that game. So I think we'll play in it again. I don't know when it'll be, but I think definitely we'll have an opportunity, and we won't turn that opportunity down, I'm sure. So it's been a positive playing in. Now you gain the extra week, starting at a normal time. So the advantage of this year, I think we got 7 home games, and you talking about 7 home games with our fans, our game day atmosphere is an advantage, and to have North Alabama as a part of that is great. Anytime you can add back in with our tradition, an old Gulf South rivalry. We've played them twice since I've been here. It's been as large a crowds as we've had. So, if you want to fill the stadium up, play old Gulf South rivalry, and UNA and Jacksonville State, I think, has always been a healthy rivalry. So it's going to be a good game. They're moving up. They're going through a transition period. I think they're building facilities. They're trying to do things the right way and moving up. So we'll have our work cut out for us. They'll have a good football team. I don't ever know of UNA not having a good football team. So it'll be a great home game, and this place should be packed. So we're excited about renewing that rivalry and keeping it going. I hope it's something we can work out and play every year for sure.
All right, Coach Jerry White with House Sports. Talk to us just a little bit about the cohesiveness of your staff. Great job of putting that staff together. Just talk to it a little bit.
Well, we got a good variety of young guys and some older guys that's been around it. And I try to keep guys around me that's smarter than me and work. So we got a good group. We really do. And I've been blessed there. Since I've been here, I think we've made the right hires, and it seems like for probably 3 or 4 years we didn't hardly lose anybody. We kept a lot of cohesion. We went in a year last year with the biggest change we'd ever had. We lost 3 and had to replace them. So we didn't lose 1 this year, and I think so the cohesiveness is there and the retention, and that makes everybody comfortable. You're going into a year last year, and I'm a positive guy. I don't dwell on negatives, and I'm definitely not going to tell you about a negative while I'm going through it. I may point it out later on, but I'm a cups half full guy. So we were sitting here last year with the biggest turnover we've ever had on staff. We got 17 guys I think that ever played in a college football game. So you're young. You got staff turnover. You went into the season last year with all those things going on. So I think we overcame a lot. Adversity and things like this. So this team grew, and I think the staff grew. But I can't. It makes my job so easy to come to work every day. Like I said before, blessed food a while ago. It's just a blessing. You got good family men, good Christian men that come to work every day, and there's a lot of good football coaches out there. We feel like we got really good football coaches, but they're even better men, and they're in it for the right reasons. So I'm more proud of that than anything, and I feel like we're on top of the game, X and O wise, and I think we work as hard as anybody. And I want my staff to, we talked about that yesterday when I talked about this time of year all the time, is just don't let this game eat you, because it can. We talk about balance. I want these guys to be great coaches, but I also want them to be great husbands and fathers and balancing your time as a football coach is tough because it's a business, and we got to produce, and there's a certain amount of work's got to be done, and we try to find a balance with that. And I think his staff does a really good job of that. And I'm excited to come to work with them every day, and like I said, I appreciate everything that they do.
Along those lines, another transition defensive coordinator this year. Just talk about what he brings to it and how the defense might look differently, if at all, with him.
Well, much easier transition. I think we went into the year last year trying to keep that same transition, and we lost, Coach Hall late. We had Coach Weigel. Coach Hall had been here for a long time. They've been the coordinator and co-coordinator, and did a really good job. And you go into last year and you lose Coach Hall late, and you have to do some finagling. So it was all kind of new. Well, Coach Sigler, being here last year, our guys are very comfortable with him. So it's such an easy transition. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He's been around. He's been a head coach before. He's been in a Power 5. He's been at every level college-wise. So it's just advantages, and he's been around some really good coaches, and from a player to a coach. So our guy, and he does it for the right reason. He has such good relationships, I think. With our players, they're going to play for him, and I think our coaches, that room is really healthy relationship-wise right now. So I'm very confident in the easy transition we've had so far. So like I said, I think it's a young staff, and they're very energetic, and they're very knowledgeable, and like I said, I think that transition is much easier than what last year's transition was.
Coach Jimmy Lay, AL.com. Last year, you were -7 in the turnover ratio, and I think you've mentioned that you would probably contribute that to an inexperienced squad. How does the experience they gained from last year hope to turn that around and get into the positive numbers?
Well, as every problem you have, I direct that deficiency to me, myself. That's probably one of the worst years I've ever had coaching. The turnover ratio. Your turnover ratio is a key deal. We're probably sitting there undefeated going into the playoffs, which means we would have played at home and not went to Maine if we don't have turnovers. You look at two things, and it's just something we got to make more of an emphasis, and we always have tried to make an emphasis. We're going to make it much more of an emphasis just by protecting the ball. And it wins and loses game. You go back and study the Super Bowl. Look at the Super Bowl champs. I think one or two times the team that had more turnovers won the Super Bowl. So that is a fact. And you look at the games we lost, 2 of those we turned the ball over 5 times in. We gave up a kicking game score. So those are 2 things I'll look at: winning and losing games that you just can't do to give yourself an opportunity to win. You play good everywhere else. You have turnovers, you have special teams problems, you're going to get beat most of the time. So hopefully we'll clean that up. And it was staggering to me when you looked at the end of the season and you showed our team just how important that is. And we've been sitting there undefeated as opposed to those losses. So it's a big time deal, and it is a point of emphasis. But like I said, I look more at myself and finding ways to cut down on those.
Any other questions?
It's Greg Duwalt from the Times Daily over in Florence. Realistically, how quickly can North Alabama expect to establish itself in FCS coming out of Division II?
I mean, that's a hard question to answer. You never know. Some people make transition really easy, and with their tradition and knowing how to win games at UNA and having that healthy tradition, I can see them making it pretty quick. And I think it's all about making an investment in athletics, and I think UNA does that. So they got a great city to recruit to, Tennessee River. So I mean, I think there's a lot of good things about that campus. I think it's a good place to recruit to, and I seen the other day where they're doing some things facility-wise. So I don't think they'll have a problem. The big thing is getting in the right conference. I think they've got that done, found a conference, and so I think they'll make transition easy. You just look in this state of teams that's done it, and they made the transition pretty easy. I mean, you look back when Troy did it, I think they made the transition through and had some 10+ game win years there, and then transition right on the FBS. I don't think we had a problem with it here, and they've always been competitive. I think since day one of moving up, but it is a transition now. It's the Division I football program, the budget's different than the D2. You gotta make the commitment there to be able to run a program the way you gotta run it. And it depends on, you know, how much you put into it. As I say this, you can win anywhere as long as you got support. If you ain't got support, it's gonna make it tough to win. And like I said, you know, we're always looking for advantages in every area of our program, and I'm sure they will too. But I don't see them having a problem with it.
Got time for a couple more questions?
Coach, from your time coaching in high school to the college level, being here for so many years at Jacksonville State, where do you think you've grown the most making that transition from the AHSAA to Jacksonville State?
I don't think it's necessarily the transition from high school to college. I think we all, you know, I know I do, look to grow as a person, you know, so I think just the older you get, hopefully you get a little wiser in the way you deal with things, and the way you deal with people. And you know, I may have messed up enough stuff when I was younger to, you know, I should know better, you know. So it's just dealing with people, you know, whether you're in high school, college, or NFL. I think it's about people. It's a relationship game, and I think that boils down to life, you know. And I think you're teaching, you know, life lessons in this game. That's why I do what I do, you know. And I think God grows me in that every year, you know. So it's been a fun deal. You know, I would hate to lose what I had in high school. So there's nothing about. I always go back to Friday Night Lights. There's nothing like Friday Night Lights. You know, when you're a part of a young man's life or a young lady's life, I can coach, you know, high school girls basketball. So when you're able to see a kid grow from a freshman in high school to that senior and be a part of that, it's pretty special. You know, but I see the same growth with our guys here, and we still do the same relationship type stuff we did in high school here. So the transition to me with that is pretty easy. But I think you look for ways to get better. You know, we all got strengths, we all got weaknesses. I'm no different. You know, there's some things that I'm really good at, and there's some things that I'm not very good at. You know, I try to get better at the things that I'm weak at, and surround myself with what we was talking about coaches a while ago, of people that are better at things than I am. So, like I said, I think it's continually, you know, looking to get better deal.
You touched on this a little bit, but your teams have always been strong up front. And how concerning is it that that's where the inexperience is this year? And who are some of the guys that you're looking to see step up, and how good can they be up there?
You know, Joe's always gonna hit me with the one that I'm losing sleep on. He's always gonna come back and hit me with it. So it is a concern, I'll say that. And yeah, I didn't point out too much last year this time of how inexperienced we were. I just said we were young, and we're really young. So it's a concern up front. We've always, like you said, been really, really good. And deep, we play a lot of guys, you know, up there. So our guys, we was talking about this the other day, coming out of our media day and OVC media day in Nashville. Our guys statistically would be so much better if we played them all the time, you know. And that's from skill guys to defensive linemen to linebackers and all those things. And we've had some guys get some national awards and things like that, but our guys take a lot of reps. So up front, we play a bunch of guys. So what we're banking on is you got, you know, you lose a Connor Christian, a Randy Robinson, you lose those defensive ends, you know, where we lost, you know, Darius Jackson and Don Campbell the year before. Heck, we lost a slew of guys that have been here almost as long as I've been here last year. So you got a lot of depth in that defensive end room, but you're depleted. Now, guys we got coming back are really young. They're inexperienced, but very, very talented. So it is a concern, and it's something we'll, I'm sure, you know, Coach Green and Coach Wilkerson will work daily, you know, to develop that depth. But until we get in games, and those guys get in there and they make some mistakes and they grow and they learn and they get better the next week, you know, it's, you know, time will tell, you know, how they do. But we're gonna throw them in the fire and see how they do. But we do have some guys, and you'll talk to some of them in a minute, like Montrezl Lane inside. He's been here a long time, played a lot of snaps. You need guys like that to stay healthy, you know. So we do have some older guys mixed in there with some young guys to kind of be the mentors and grow those guys. So, you know, we're very excited about, you know, the leadership we have in those rooms as well. So I think talent-wise, we're not going to drop off talent-wise. I think we've got some guys there that are very, very talented. It's just that lack of experience that worries you, you know. So that'll go away after 2 or 3 games. You know, they'll be seasoned. You won't be making excuses for them being young anymore. So, like I said, we just got to grow them up quick.
Thank you, Coach. All right, guys, at this time, we've got several student athletes that are